Welcome back to the Jane Austen 250th anniversary block of the month sew along. I'm Cindy Cloward, and today we are working on the Southampton block. Last month we worked on our London blocks. All my London blocks are finished. I hope you're well on your way to finishing your blocks. If not, keep on going. But today we're working on the Southampton block. Let's talk a little bit about Southampton. Southampton was home to Jane Austen, her mother and sister Cassandra, from October 1806 to early 1809. It is believed her time spent in this seaside town influenced scenes in her novels, specifically Persuasion and her unfinished work of Sanditon. So let's take a look at this block. You only have to do 2 of these blocks. This is what block number 1 looks like, and this is block number 2. Why only 2 blocks? Because of the sides of the quilt are longer than the width of the quilt. So you're going to have 2 extra blocks to make it longer. So let's get into the pattern of this block. So it is on page that you download on the Riley Blake Design website. It is on page 29 and 30. I'm going to put this to the side. And we have done these circles before. So you need a V3 circle, you're gonna do 4, but this is an opportunity for you to do a little fussy cutting if you wish, or I call it fussy placement. You can move that circle around and you can take a look at this. This is in a different position wherever you want to position. I think it's nice to be consistent. You can see how it's kind of to the side on this one, but on this one, we're going to do it right in the center. This doesn't matter so much, but we did kind of fussy placement on this. This is for the V5, and V5 you have 8. You have 8 of this fabric. You have 4 of this fabric and then 4 of this fabric. And then you have your stems, and 4 are on the bias and 4 are straight. The smaller cutting on the bias, I'm going to show you how to create this little curve right here. This is a new shape, V23. Look at this shape. And I've already traced it out in our sew-in interfacing. And I'm just going to take it to the machine and sew around that. There is no need to really do a fussy placement. It really doesn't matter. You can see just anywhere on the fabric is nice. So let's take it to the machine and sew. My stitch length, a reminder, I am using that 80 weight thread, and my stitch length is 1.80, or you could do 1.85. I just like a really tight stitch length, especially with this thread. I do not backstitch, and I just follow my curves and just take it nice and slow. Pivoting on those cleavages. And those points. We're going to pivot around that. Cut my threads and then bring it on over here. I'm going to cut around that. It says about 1/4 inch. Sometimes I do slightly less, but you don't want it too close to your stitches, or then you can pop a hole in it much easier. You're going to cut off your points here, not too close to your stitches, but that'll make it easier to give yourself a better point. And then clip those cleavages. And I just cut a little bit down the side. There's a lot of circles in this. You're going to be good at sewing circles. Okay, last one. Okay, like we've done on our other shapes, we're going to pull that open. Clip that, and we're just going a little bit farther down each of these little points like that. And now we're ready to turn right side out. Okay, I kind of stick my thumb in there like that, and then I push down my tip, flip it inside out like that. So thumb up there a ways, and flip it right side out. Again, up there, flip right side out, thumb, right side out. Okay, let's get our little turning tool. And then on the right, on the inside of this interfacing, I push, but I also go on the fabric side and just kind of define it a little bit. We've talked about this before, right? Oh, we've got, okay. Now let's take it to our pressing station. We're going to tuck this interfacing under. Oh, we've got, you can give it a little start. Tuck that under like that. And I press from the underside of this first, pulling that interfacing in. See that? I'm just going to give that a little press. I'm going to press from this side. And take it back here. And now I'm just going to work it again. Just getting all those angles. This looks like it needs just to be. And you can roll that interfacing side under. There we go. Okay, that's looking really good. Right, let me clean up my workstation. You get your ground fabric. I already had it over by my pressing station. And if I haven't mentioned this before, I really like to starch my ground fabric. I think it makes it really nice creases, and also helps with fraying. It just helps it to get really crisp edges, and I appreciate a good starch on the ground fabric. So we get all our angles. Okay. This is not your first rodeo, right? All right, let's lay this out. Okay. Now we can kind of get the lay of the land. If you're getting a lot of bunching right here, you might not have clipped enough on that cleavage right there, so you might need to clip a little bit more. Okay, that's going to go like that. And then all these angles are where the rest are going to go out from. So before I start laying the rest of my stems out, this is about this little smile. This is about the angle I want it to be. You can kind of look up there, kind of take a look at that. And so you're consistent. I'm going to take this over to my pressing station. You want consistency. You want that angle to be the same. And so these are on the bias. So you're going to starch them up, and then you're going to get that curve. So give them, so do your first piece. Look at how they curve on their own. And then I'm going to just angle that. You're going to use your fingers, and you can kind of just mirror that. Why that's nice and warm. There you go. Make sure that is shaped the same. We've got 2 more to do. You don't want to bend in it. You just want a soft bend, not a hard bend. Okay. So your 3 curved stems are ready to go. All right, we're going to lay down these along here. They just need to tuck in the center, so you can kind of leave that to the side. What you want is a continuous angle there. There we go. Oh, some of the threads are coming out there. We'll just trim that off. So that's looking really good. Just kind of put it on there. Yep, looks good. We're going to get going on our glue. Again, sometimes you can just put the teeniest of dots right on that line. Again, you want to really try and avoid getting the glue on the outside edge. Very good. All right, I just put that in for measurements. And you can kind of just lay these out because you just want consistency. We want those all going in the center. And then let's take a look. This is, let me get my, let's see. You want this right in the center there, and then we want that about like 1 3/4 you can do, or 1 7/8. And then that's going to be the center of there. So you see that? And we're going to put that there. You're going to measure each of those 1 3/4. Okay. You get the idea, right? We're going to put these all out. Then we're going to remeasure, and then we're going to start gluing. And this time I'm going to put the glue on this stem right here. It's like a little smile, right? And it's every other. So we've got here, and we've got there, here, there, here, there, here, and there. So it's every other like that. And yeah, you're just going to measure it. So you want equal here to here, and then it's going to be closer to this circle. This area right here is like almost less than 1/4 inch. It's really a tight angle. And then you want this consistent. You want the points on the points here. You see that? So you're going to measure it all. So it's all consistent, just like this. Do you see the stem lengths are all the same size? Again, consistent here, consistent here. It's almost a finger between each of these, and you just want that continuous line. Once you get it all organized and glued down, I'm not going to spend all the time on the camera to get it all perfectly, then you lay this down. And if you've got everything glued down and something's off a little bit, the glue's still tacky, it's still wet a little bit, you can make adjustments. What I really want to see is this angle here, straight here, again, the same measurement here, 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 and all the little angles. Then you can use your large clapper and let it dry, put it on there, press it, let it dry, come back, and it's gonna be all ready to sew. So now I'm gonna give you some sewing tips on creating this block. I've already made that one. So let's work on sewing tips for this one. Again, matching thread, I go slightly darker. I would start with the center unit and then I'd move to the leaves and then the outside circles. Now I would use matching thread, maybe sometimes a little darker. I have two examples. This is the same 80 weight thread that I'm using in my machine. I use it to applique. You can see how that color right there blends, but you can see there's a lot of other colors there. So I'm going to take you through that. This is a great color. Again, slightly darker, but when you bring it out here, it's like the perfect match. So let's start. I would start in the center, then move out to the stems. Now when I'm doing the green, hand appliquing the green stems, I would start right here on the side, right here. I'd go up to the side. If you want to tack down that middle, I would do one stitch right in the middle, go up this side over, which is underneath your fabric, stitch down this other side, tack down one stitch, go up here, go under, over, underneath here, go down, over here, behind there, stitch down, stitch there, and we're finished. How I would work on this, as I would start in a blue area. Right here. Roll that up. And I just take teeny little bites. Now this is a blue area, so I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna go really close to the edge, almost into that interfacing. So do you see that interfacing is just right there underneath? I'm gonna go right to the edge. Now I'm in blue, so I don't have to hide my stitches as much. Oh, I got a little knot. Sometimes you gotta pull out that thread and undo that knot. There we go. And I'm approaching the blue. So you have colors of red, and I do the same thing. I kind of tuck that under a little bit, and when I come up, I'm just barely on the edge, so you can hardly see my stitches. Do you see how teeny that is? How teeny, close to the edge I am. And you're in the interfacing, so getting close to the edge is not going to weaken your applique stitches. But you can see I'm slightly in there, but you can hardly see those stitches. You're gonna go up to the point, and then you're gonna pivot, making sure that point is still on that creased line. This is just another recheck. Okay. And then I'm gonna put this away, and now we're gonna talk about, I'm gonna get my green thread. Here we are. And we're gonna talk about our applique for these stems. Now you're gonna make sure that the cleavage right here, the stem is in the center of this cleavage right here. I always start at the bottom. And we are going to just applique on up right here. And these stitches are almost invisible because I have matching thread, and I'm just taking a little bite from this side. We're going up here. Okay, I do that corner, and then I'm gonna do, you could do a stitch or two in the middle to just tack that down. One might do it. If you want to do a couple, that's okay. And then I'm going to go over this angle. Making sure that's keeping that angle. Okay, so I'm stitching, I'm coming up. So I come up on the bias side, but I go over to the fabric, the background side, and then go in. And then I just kind of lift up the skirts of that little dot, and then I go behind it like this, like that. And then I start, and I turn my project over. You can kind of roll it up like that if it's easier. And then I go down, or I go, you know, towards the stem. There's no up and down, really. So in the, up on the bias, down on the fabric side. Up on the bias, down on the fabric side. And then I advance underneath. We've talked about this before. But you want your stitches right next to here. And then we go in here. I'm going to do a little stitch in that center here. And then just like we've done before. And once you get the hang of this, you will just love to just sit and sew when you have the time. And then I'm going up here. I just kind of lift that up a little bit. I'll lift up the skirts and then go underneath to the opposite side, turn your work. And we're going to go down or back towards the center of that stem. And we're going to just keep working, doing those little teeny stitches and then going up, crossing over, down, down, and you repeat that 4 times. And then you go to your outside circles. We've talked about circles before. See these angles that slightly pop out. It might be hard to see on camera, but you're never going to have a perfect circle. So you're going to refine it as you come around and you just pull those stitches in. I'm just going to show you. We just love to applique, right? We love it. Oh, I'm going to knot that. Here we go. Knot that, starting at the back. And again, we go up in the fabric, right next to it on the background side. And then we pull that little pokey area. I go, take the tip of my needle, pull it under the interfacing, just pull it in, and it just makes the most beautiful circle. Okay, and we are going to finish our 2 applique blocks, and then next month we've got 4 more smaller blocks. Now the next month you've got vines and these small Oxford blocks. So let me show you what they look like. This is the small Oxford block. We need 4 of those. Those are kind of cornerstones in the center of our quilt. And then we've got these long vines. So join me next month when we talk about the vines and the Oxford block. We're getting close to finishing all our applique pieces. I'll see you next month.